just because I just been feeling like something's off in my body. But every time I go to her, she's like, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. Nothing's wrong.
The moment Michael B. Jordan's name echoed through that Oscar stage, something shifted in the room. You could feel it. Not just applause, not just celebration, but history being written in real time. The cameras caught tears, standing ovations, and stunned faces as he stepped forward, finally claiming a moment many believed was long overdue. But while the entire industry rose to its feet, there was a silence that felt louder than the cheers. And that silence, it had a name. Because behind the flashing lights and emotional speeches, people started noticing something uncomfortable. Steve Harvey and Lori Harvey were nowhere in that wave of celebration. No public support. No acknowledgement. Nothing. And for fans who remember the history between Lori and Michael, that silence did not feel accidental. It felt intentional. Almost calculated. Social media wasted no time picking this apart. And suddenly, what should have been a pure victory lap for Michael turned into something else entirely, a conversation about tension, unresolved history, and what people are calling quiet resentment. And here is where it starts getting messy. Because according to whispers circulating behind the scenes, Lori allegedly set a very clear boundary. One that changed everything. The claim? That Steve Harvey was not supposed to publicly support Michael B. Jordan under any circumstances. Think about that for a second. While the world applauded a black actor reaching one of the highest honors in Hollywood, one of the most outspoken figures in entertainment stayed completely silent. Not because he had nothing to say, but because, allegedly, he was told not to. And the timing? It could not have been worse. Because just weeks before this Oscar moment, something happened that shook people. During a major live broadcast, Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo were hit with a shocking incident that left viewers stunned. A racial slur, shouted into a microphone, echoing across a global audience. At first, people tried to process it, to rationalize it, to explain it away. But then more details came out, and instead of clarity, it brought even more discomfort.
The first BAFTA of the night for a vital part of movie making.
Viewers began asking hard questions. Why was that moment left in the broadcast? Why was it not edited out? Why did no one step in immediately? And perhaps the most disturbing question of all, why did it feel like no one truly stood up for them in the aftermath? Delroy Lindo later revealed something that only made things worse. No proper follow-up. No real check-in. No accountability. And just like that, what could have been dismissed as an unfortunate incident started to feel like something deeper. Something intentional. Something that left both men exposed on one of the biggest stages in the world. And that is when the silence from Steve Harvey became impossible to ignore. Because this is a man known for speaking up. For reacting. For having an opinion on everything. Yet when it came to Michael, nothing. No tweet. No statement. No support. And fans noticed. They connected the dots. They started asking whether this was not just about a past relationship anymore, but something more personal. Something unresolved. Meanwhile, the internet was doing what it always does best, digging, speculating, and debating. Some people argued that Steve had every right to stay out of it. Others pushed back hard, saying, when something like this happens, neutrality is not an option. Another viral comment read, silence speaks louder than words, especially when you usually never stay quiet. And then came the twist that made everything even more uncomfortable. People started comparing trajectories. Since the breakup, Michael B. Jordan's career has only gone up. Bigger roles. Stronger performances. And now, an Oscar win that cements his place in Hollywood history. Meanwhile, Lori's dating life continues to keep her in headlines, constantly linked to high-profile names. And whether fair or not, the internet has started framing this as a contrast. Growth versus movement. Stability versus rotation. One comment summed up the entire narrative in a way that spread like wildfire: he leveled up in silence. They are reacting in silence. And just when you think it cannot get more layered, enter Damson Idris. While Michael was having the biggest night of his career, Lori reportedly stayed away from the Oscars entirely, leaving Damson to show up alone. And that absence? It did not go unnoticed. In fact, it raised even more questions. Was it coincidence, or was it deliberate avoidance?
Just remember that you're the prize always.
Say that one more time.
Just remember that you are the prize.
At this point, what started as a celebration has turned into something much bigger. A story about pride. About ego. About what happens when personal history collides with public success. Because in Hollywood, silence is rarely just silence. It is strategy. It is statement. It is message. And right now, people are trying to decode exactly what that message is. The moment that stage lights hit his face, everything shifted. Michael B. Jordan stood there, holding that award, and you could literally see the weight of the moment crashing over him. His voice trembled, his eyes watered, and for a split second, it felt like the entire room stopped breathing with him. He called out his mother, his father who flew all the way from Ghana just to witness this exact moment, and then he gave flowers to Ryan Coogler.
God is good. God is good. And
the man who stood beside him through years of grind, sacrifice, and quiet battles nobody saw. This was not just a speech. This was history unfolding in real time. And within minutes, the internet exploded. Clips flooded timelines. Fans were crying, reposting, calling it one of the most powerful moments in award show history. It felt like everyone was celebrating, everyone except one very loud voice who suddenly went silent. Because where was Steve Harvey? The same man who always has something to say. The same man who never misses a chance to comment on celebrity drama, relationships, or controversies that have nothing to do with him. Suddenly, nothing. No mention of the win. No reaction to the emotional speech. Not even a passing acknowledgement on platforms where he speaks daily. And that silence? It did not feel normal. It felt calculated. It felt intentional. And the internet caught it immediately. People started asking questions. Hold on, how do you stay quiet for something this big? Another user wrote, he always talks, so why is he mute now? The suspicion started building fast, and then, the truth slipped out, and everything got messier than anyone expected. Because behind that silence, there was a rule. A personal, private rule that turned public in the worst way. And that rule came from Lori Harvey. During an interview, Steve let something slip that completely changed how people saw the situation. He talked about running into one of Lori's exes at a basketball game. He did not say the name, but everyone connected the dots. The timing matched. The footage matched. That hug people saw circulating online? That was not random. That was real. But according to Steve, that moment came with consequences. Because after Lori saw it, she made it very clear, that kind of friendliness would not be happening again. Ever. And just like that, the narrative flipped. Steve admitted that if you date Lori and then become her ex, you do not just leave her life, you get erased from his too. No greetings. No acknowledgement. No respect in public. Nothing.
I can't make sense. I saw one of her exes somewhere at a game somewhere and I shook.
Imagine that. A grown man, a global figure, now operating under emotional restrictions set by his daughter. And the internet did not hold back. But then came the twist that made everything even more complicated. Because people started digging back into why Lori might feel this strongly. And that is where the rumors resurfaced. Back in 2022, when their relationship ended, whispers started spreading across gossip pages like Doomois.
partnership and then not knowing what's the best partner for me.
Anonymous sources claimed that Michael had been emotionally involved with other women. Not physical cheating, they said, but something deeper. Late-night calls. Future plans. Conversations that should not exist if you are committed. Another rumor claimed he had been messaging women who fit a very specific image, sliding into spaces he should not have been in. And then Lori posted that now famous "dump him" message, and the internet took it as confirmation without ever asking for proof. Because here is the reality, there was never any proof. No screenshots. No names. No woman stepping forward publicly. Nothing solid. Just whispers. Just speculation. Meanwhile, credible reports painted a completely different story. Sources close to the situation claimed Lori ended things because she was not ready to settle down. She was focused on her career, her independence, her timeline. While Michael? He was ready for something real. Something permanent. Two people on two different paths, colliding at the wrong time. Simple, or at least it should have been. But now, looking at everything, the situation feels anything but simple. Because regardless of what actually happened between them, the aftermath has turned into something far more revealing. A father silencing himself. A public figure ignoring major cultural moments. All because of a personal rule that should have stayed private. And people are noticing patterns. They are questioning dynamics. Why does she have this much control? One comment read. Another said, this does not look like family loyalty, this looks like fear. And the more people talk about it, the harder it becomes to ignore. Because at the center of all of this is one uncomfortable question: when does loyalty cross the line into something else? When does supporting your family start to look like losing your own voice? Because the way this is playing out, it does not just reflect on Steve. It reflects on Lori too. Because creating a rule that forces everyone around you to erase someone from existence does not just make that person look bad, it makes you look like you never truly moved on. And if anything, that might be the most revealing part of this entire story. The internet did not just react to this situation, it exploded into full-blown debate, and suddenly, what seemed like a clean breakup started looking like something far more complicated. Because now people are stepping back and asking a question nobody was asking before: why does it still feel like this story is not finished? Why does it feel like there is something unresolved sitting underneath all of this? At first glance, it looks simple. A relationship ended years ago. Two people moved on. Life continued. But when certain actions start happening in the present, people cannot help but side-eye the situation. Now, Steve Harvey finds himself right in the middle of this conversation, and the internet is split straight down the middle. On one side, people are defending him, saying, that is a father protecting his daughter, nothing more. But on the other side, the tone is completely different. Critics are questioning whether this is protection or control. Some even went as far as saying, at what point does guidance turn into interference? And just like that, a simple family dynamic turned into a public controversy that nobody saw coming. But here is where things take a sharper turn. Because once you bring Lori and Michael B. Jordan into the conversation, the energy completely changes. What people thought was a respectful, quiet breakup is now being re-examined under a microscope. Old clips, old interviews, old photos, everything is being pulled back up. And suddenly, those cheating rumors that once felt like background noise are being dragged right back into the spotlight. Some viewers are convinced there is more to the story. One comment that gained thousands of likes said, there is no smoke without fire. Something definitely happened. Meanwhile, others pushed back hard, arguing, this feels like a narrative that was created to make one person look like the victim. And just like that, the audience is divided between two completely different realities, each one feeling just believable enough to keep the debate alive. And that is what makes this entire situation so unsettling. Because the truth is, nobody really knows what happened behind closed doors. All people have are pieces, fragments, speculation. And in a world where perception can become reality overnight, those fragments can be enough to rewrite an entire story. So now the real question is not just about who is right or wrong. It is about intention. Was this truly about a father setting boundaries for his daughter, or is there something deeper that people are only just beginning to notice? And more importantly, were those rumors ever real, or were they carefully placed to control how the public sees the entire situation? Because if there is one thing this situation has proven, it is that sometimes the story everyone believes is not the full story at all.